Buy any brand new laptop today and you'll probably find a webcam in it. Sure, it's not going to be great quality, but it should be good enough for whatever you're going to want to do. Now, when you work with bigger, more powerful computers, you're going to need a desktop, and most monitors these days don't have a webcam built in to the monitor. You're only going to find those in all-in-one computers like the iMac, but you're not going to find one in a monitor like this Dell over here behind me. You just don't find webcams built into monitors anymore, so you need a dedicated webcam. There's a ton of them on the market, and they're pretty cheap, but there's also some that are pretty expensive. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at this. This is a $200 4K webcam from Logitech. We're going to see, is it any good? And do you really need a webcam that does 4K video? As a filmmaker, I kind of like cameras. Makes sense. I got some pretty neat toys around here. But one thing I don't have is a good webcam. I use a Thunderbolt display as a secondary monitor, which has a 720p webcam built in. That monitor is from 2012. It's not that great. And it's not even facing directly at me, it's on my side. Not a great angle. So I bought a webcam, and I got this one. I got it for a couple of reasons. One, it's the only one that's really in stock right now. And two, it's 4K, so why not? There's actually two models of this webcam. Most of you are probably going to be buying the Logitech Brio 4K. This is basically a normal webcam that connects to your computer and has a mount. This one that I have right here is the Apple edition of the Logitech 4K webcam. Mainly it has a magnetic mount on the bottom, and there's nothing else to it. It has a single USB-C port on the back, which is meant to go into the Pro Display XDR. That's what this is meant for. This is meant for the Pro Display XDR and you Mac Pro users out there. I have a Mac Pro, but I don't have the Pro Display, so luckily my monitor has a magnetic mount on it, so I can at least use this. But for most of you out there, you're going to be looking at the Logitech Brio, and these are both the same camera, just different mounting systems. So keep that in mind. Both $200, both the same camera, just depends on how you want to mount it. Before we take a look at the camera any further, let me talk a little bit about 4K video. What you're looking at right here is 4K video. Check the settings down below on YouTube. You'll be able to see you can watch this video in 4K. This camera does an okay job of 4K. It's recording at 100 megabytes per second, meaning we have 100 megabytes of data every single second that it's recording. How does this work? Well, the more data you get, the higher detailed your image is going to be. You're going to be able to preserve more detail in shadows. You're going to be able to pull down the highlights a lot better. The more data you have to work with, the better and cleaner your image is going to be. A camera that has a low data throughput is going to have less quality. It's going to look worse, it's going to have more compression. You're still taking 4K in that big frame, but you're putting it into a smaller package. It's being compressed a lot more. So let's take, for example, this camera behind me. This is a Red. It's a professional cinema camera. They use this to make movies and TV shows. Half of the shows on Netflix have been shot on a Red. So this is a very good camera. It's super expensive, and it shoots really good 4K. That's the difference between a okay 4K and a really good 4K, is the type of camera. Now that we've talked about that, let's take a look at this. This technically has a 4K sensor and it can record in 4K, but it doesn't have all of that same data processing and throughput as a several $1,000 cinema camera behind me. So let's take a look at this and see if it is any good for 4K. So here is the video from the Thunderbolt display. This is a 720p camera. It is pretty much the exact same camera that's in every single iMac today, except for the iMac that came out a couple weeks ago with the 1080p camera, but for the most part, this is what you find in all the laptops and all of the iMacs. It's not very good. There's a ton of noise. This is a medium lit room right now. I wouldn't call it dark, and I think most cameras wouldn't have very hard of a time recording in the current lighting situation right here. In fact, there's a window right over there. So I'm side lit, and it should not be as dark over there as it is. So this is not a great camera. To make matters worse, audio is not amazing. I'm using the built-in microphone on the Thunderbolt display. So this gives you an idea for the video quality and the microphone quality in most of Apple's products right now. So now you're looking at video from the Logitech 4K webcam. This is recording in its highest possible resolution and also using the built-in microphone on the webcam. So you can get an idea of how it sounds and looks at the same time. One thing to notice is that the frame of view is much wider. You can see the entire room and even more. So this is a much wider field of view than was on the Thunderbolt display. There's still noise. You can see noise in my shirt and in the cabinet over there, but it's doing a pretty good job of handling dynamic range. The window's fairly bright and there's a white wall behind me, and still doing a decent job of controlling that. Now, while this is 4K and it is high quality, it's not amazing, as you can tell. Something from a phone would be much better, for example, and a dedicated camera would also be much better as well. But this is still a really good camera for being a webcam. There's not much out there that can compete with this type of camera, so the question is, do you really need something that is 4K? Are you going to be able to stream in 4K? Chances are most of the video conferencing apps don't even support it. So you really need to consider, do you need 4K, and is there much of an advantage for the extra resolution compared to pretty much any other webcam on the market? So the question is, do you really need a 4K webcam? Well, probably not. Most of you aren't going to be streaming in 4K to your work. Not really going to happen. Most internet doesn't really support 4K live stream video sending, especially through upload speeds. Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, none of those really even support 4K video. So why would you want to get a 4K camera? Well, it's really if you are going to be doing gaming. That's really all you really would want a 4K camera for. Still, this camera right here looks a million times better than this camera right here. Why? Because it just has the power behind it to be able to do that. That's really all. So you probably don't need a 4K webcam. $200 is a lot to spend, and there's plenty of other options out there. So probably don't get this unless you really do need 4K or a really great webcam. And even if you are looking for great video quality, this isn't a great option either. If you really need to connect your camera to your computer, and I think that's going to be a better option as well. So anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. I will see you in the next one.